So one thing that I never really have discussed in these commentaries so far is the process I went through when making a Gantz episode versus a Berserk episode. See, in Berserk, I would only script out the really important pivotal scenes, and the rest I would honestly just make up as I went along. I'd think of a joke, record the line, edit it in, and move on from there. Whereas, since I had another voice actor to work with in Gantz, in Cassius 614, I actually wrote out the entire script for each episode in advance. Which, on the one hand, I mean, it really helped me pay attention to the structure of the episode as a whole, and the pacing, and made it a much more consistent experience. I think it did lose some of that spontaneity that Berserk had, so it was kind of a trade-off, to be perfectly honest. But and then every once in a while, I would screw up and have to ask Cassius for an extra line that I would add during the editing phase anyway. So at the end of the day, I'm not sure how much scripting in advance actually helped me, but oh well. Like this line coming up where Kishimoto talks about ask why Kurono put on that fruity suit. Originally that was a Nishi line, and during editing I realized it made a whole lot more sense if it was coming from her. So make of that what you will. So this whole episode was really just a big exposition-heavy, dialogue-heavy info dump, much like in the original, actually, where right up until this point, you really have no clue what's going on, why they're fighting aliens, that it's structured like a game and that they're going to get scores, that they will get sent back home, but that they will then get called back to do this again, a couple days or weeks later. All that stuff had to be covered here. So this episode is a lot more slow-paced compared to a lot of the Gantz episodes, but I think that's balanced out by the fact that it is very Gantz-heavy, that is, meaning Gantz as a character, and he was just an absolute pleasure to write. So I think it all evened out in the end. This line coming up, this "Who was your last owner, Rosie O'Donnell" joke, is one of those that kind of makes me cringe going back and watching it, because it's like one of those where you have a joke, but you're not sure which reference to use. Who was your last owner? Blank. And Rosie O'Donnell was just a total placeholder. And then at the end of the day, I couldn't think of anything better, so that was the final version of the line. Really think I could have done a better job with that, but oh well, what are you gonna do? And this line is pretty much just ripped straight out of the original. There were a fair bit of those in Gantz Abridged, just because unlike Berserk, which has, the one comic relief character and that's about it, it's pretty serious other than that, Gantz really does have a goodly amount of really black humor in there. So it was honestly just a matter of bringing that to the foreground a lot of the time. Certain scenes and lines play almost more like a fan dub than a proper abridged series. Now that was a little editing trickery. If you look closely, you can see that 3 was copy and pasted from here. Cunnilingo, which again is my name for him, he never actually has a name. I think they call him Butterdog, after the peanut butter joke, which was also the original. So that he originally got 0 points, and I changed it to 30 because I thought it was funnier. And this whole bit where they talk about the 100 points and how you get a prize at 100 points, that actually is in the manga, but it's not explained until much later. It's never explained in the anime why Nishi wants to get 100 points so bad and why 100 is this big thing. But there were a couple of jokes that could be made out of that, so I went ahead and brought that plot point in a little earlier in my version than it's actually revealed in the original manga.
How about a little exposition here?
What else? Oh, this whole human fax machine deal, where he says it's like a human fax machine, and Gantz says, not really. I had to hold myself back from making that just a total Futurama joke steal and going on to the obvious next line. Would you like to see my human fax machine? Not really. But actually that's kind of a nonsensical, bit of a non sequitur joke, just because it really is a pretty apt metaphor. I mean, it does work really well, and which is why I wanted to bring it in, because it's a really good metaphor for what's going on. But they just beat it to death in the anime. It's like, we get it! It's a human fax machine! Fuck you, shut up! So I had to riff on that a little bit. This audio clip, by the way, is from C-Lab 2021, and if you haven't seen it, you should fucking go watch it right now, because it's brilliance in animated form. Or at least the first season, which that clip is pulled from, is. Later on, it's kind of ass. And after Harry Goz, God rest his soul, died and they had to kill off the Captain Murphy character, it just went to hell, and I stopped watching. And, once again, went on too long! Everybody's probably clicked off of this video yet, already. Nobody's listening to me. My cat is listening to me. Wash is my fanboy. Wash is the name of my cat. I assume if you're still listening to the shit at this point, you will probably listen to any shit that I have to say. So I should probably just keep going. He's sitting right next to me right now, and he is my first and most loyal fanboy. Every time I record, he will come and just sit and stare at me. I think he's the only person who enjoys the sound of my own voice as much as I do. Because he will just sit there and watch me. He's named Wash, by the way, after Wash in Firefly and Serenity, because my girlfriend and I found him in the parking lot of Safeway directly after watching the movie for the first time. We got to see it 2 days early, which kicked ass. We were planning to go see it anyway, but some friends won tickets on the radio, some friends of friends, and called us up and said, "Hey, you wanna skip class tonight? Go watch Serenity?" Shit, yeah, we do. So, we skipped class, watched that, went back 2 days later, opening night, and watched it again anyway. But that first night, we found this little cat wandering around the Safeway parking lot. A bunch of cars were having to swerve to avoid him. So we were walking towards him to at least, shoo him over to the sidewalk so that he wouldn't get run over by traffic. And as soon as he saw these two people walking towards him, he says, "Ooh, these guys look like chumps." And he dashes straight towards us and starts rubbing up against us and purring. So that's how we wound up with this little... He's a jerk. He's an asshole. He looks pretty. And so everybody loves him. Deep down, you're an asshole, Wash. You know that? Gives me this blank stare. Fucker. Okay. If you haven't already clicked off of this shit by now, then you're creepy. And you like listening to my shit way more than anybody should. But I love you, don't ever change. See you next time.